I warned you. And now, it's almost here. The cold moon has arrived, and with it comes a powerful energy shift that is impossible to ignore. This isn't just any lunar phase, it's a celestial catalyst, triggering profound changes within our world and within ourselves. As the moon's light shines upon us, it illuminates not only the darkness of the night, but also the deeper, unspoken truths within our hearts. We're standing on the precipice of a great transformation, and this energy is here to challenge, awaken, and empower us. This cold moon carries with it an invitation to release old patterns, beliefs, and attachments that no longer serve our highest good. It's a time of shedding the old skin, making way for the new. You may have felt the pull, the sudden shifts, the restlessness in your spirit. This is the universe aligning to prepare you for something greater. It's a time of awakening, a time to realign with your true purpose and remember the wisdom of your soul's journey. The cold moon will test your inner strength, pushing you to confront what you've been avoiding. But fear not. The energy it brings is not to break you, but to rebuild you stronger, clearer, and more connected to your divine path. Let go of what's heavy, clear the clutter of the mind, and allow yourself to be guided by the deeper wisdom that is being revealed. In this powerful moment, the cosmic shift is calling you to step into your highest evolution. Are you ready to embrace the transformation? Take a moment to affirm in the comments, "I am ready." Before we dive in, we've recently noticed some restrictions with the reach of our videos, making it more difficult to share these spiritual messages. If you feel inspired by our content and want to help spread the light, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Your support truly means the world to us. Let's dive deep into the cosmic lessons this cold moon holds for you and how you can harness this energy to step into the next phase of your spiritual awakening. The cold moon as a catalyst for transformation. The cold moon, like a lantern in the dark night, shines brightly to reveal what has long been hidden in the shadows. It is a cosmic invitation to awaken, to see the unseen, and understand the truths that have been quietly waiting in the corners of our minds. Just as the moonlight casts long shadows over the earth, the cold moon shines a light on the parts of ourselves we've kept in the dark. Our fears, our hopes, our deepest desires, and the unresolved emotions that have been tucked away for far too long. Think of it as a gentle nudge from the universe, urging us to open our eyes and look closer at what we've ignored. It's as if the cold moon is telling us, it's time to face what you've avoided. The truth will no longer remain hidden. These truths aren't always easy to face, but they are necessary for our growth. Like a plant that pushes through the soil, even if it's cracked and broken, we must allow ourselves to rise, to seek the light, no matter how uncomfortable the process might be. During this phase, our hidden feelings may bubble to the surface, old wounds that have been dormant, waiting for the right moment to be seen. Just as an old attic full of forgotten belongings can seem overwhelming at first glance, so too can these emotions feel heavy. But like someone rummaging through old boxes, sorting through the past, we come to realize that confronting these issues doesn't mean they will break us. It's the opposite. It means we are ready to heal. The cold moon's light doesn't just uncover these truths, it also brings clarity. Imagine standing in a foggy field, uncertain of which path to take. Suddenly, a beam of light breaks through the mist, showing you exactly where you need to go. This is what the cold moon does for our minds and hearts. It cuts through confusion, helping us understand things we couldn't before, like a long-forgotten dream or a story that's been told in pieces. The cold moon invites us to connect the dots. It reveals the bigger picture, and in doing so, we are able to see ourselves more clearly. This clarity isn't always immediate. It's more like the first rays of dawn, slowly peeling away the night's darkness. You may not get all the answers at once, but the process of awakening starts with that first light. What was once obscure is now a little clearer. What seemed like a confusing mess starts to make sense piece by piece. Like a puzzle, the more we lean into this energy, the more the pieces fall into place, and we begin to see how everything in our lives, every joy, every struggle, has been leading us to this very moment of understanding. Alongside this awakening comes an energetic surge, a heightened force that stirs everything inside us. It's like standing at the edge of the ocean, feeling the waves rush in, pulling you forward with the tide. The cold moon amplifies the energy of the cosmos, and we too begin to feel it in our bodies and souls. It's as if the universe is turning up the volume of our own energy, and suddenly we feel more alive, more aware, more attuned to the subtle rhythms of the world around us. You might find yourself more sensitive to the emotions of others, or more deeply connected to your own inner voice, as if the energy of the moon is syncing you with a larger cosmic flow. This surge is a call to action. It's time to wake up and embrace change. Much like the turning of the seasons, the cold moon carries with it the energy of transition. It's a force that pushes us forward, even if we resist. If you've been stagnant or caught in a pattern, this surge of energy acts like a gentle shove, encouraging you to move, to evolve. Imagine being stuck in a river's current, and suddenly the water flows faster. At first, it feels overwhelming, but it's the river's natural flow, guiding you toward new places. This is what the cold moon's energy does. It encourages growth, pushing us out of our comfort zones and inviting us to let go of what we thought was secure, so we can flow into something new. This surge of energy doesn't just impact us on a personal level. It also stirs the collective consciousness. Just as a ripple on the surface of a pond spreads out and touches every part of the water, the energy of the cold moon influences the world around us. The shift in one individual can spark a change in the collective. It's like a single note struck on a piano that resonates throughout an entire room, creating ripples that affect everything in its reach. On a global scale, this surge of energy calls people to awaken to their higher truths, their shared humanity, and their responsibility to the planet. This is why the cold moon's energy feels so powerful. It doesn't just shift us as individuals, it stirs the collective heart of the world, encouraging unity and transformation on a much larger scale. In times of intense energy like this, people begin to ask deeper questions about their purpose, their relationships, and the greater forces at play in the universe. It's as if the entire world is waking up, shedding old skin, and beginning to see itself in a new way. As the cold moon's energy ripples through our lives, it shifts the foundation of what we know to be true. What once felt solid begins to tremble, and we are forced to reassess our beliefs, our priorities, and our paths. Imagine walking on a path that's been worn smooth over time, and suddenly a crack forms in the ground beneath you. The earth shifts, and you must find a new way forward. This is what the cold moon does on a larger scale. It shakes up our foundations and makes us realize that we are not as fixed as we thought. This shifting of the foundation can feel disorienting, like standing in the middle of an earthquake. But, as with all transformations, it's a necessary process. The old, worn-out beliefs and patterns that no longer serve us must break apart so something new can be built in their place. It's like tearing down an old crumbling house to make way for something stronger, more resilient, and more aligned with who we truly are. In this moment, the cold moon invites us to reconsider what we have taken for granted. What is truly important? What do we need to release to make room for new growth? Just as a tree sheds its leaves to prepare for new life in the spring, we, too, must shed what is no longer serving our growth. The cold moon's energy helps us see what must go and makes way for something greater, something more authentic. Through this awakening, surge of energy and shifting of foundations, the cold moon pushes us toward transformation. It awakens our dormant potential, shakes us from complacency, and opens our eyes to the world in a new way. It is a moment of powerful transition, an invitation to grow, to evolve, and to move toward the highest expression of ourselves. The invitation to release and let go. The cold moon arrives like the quiet stillness before a storm, calm yet powerful, holding the energy of both completion and transformation. It serves as a reminder that change is inevitable, and sometimes we must let go of what we've outgrown in order to step into something new. Much like the season of winter, which asks nature to rest and shed its leaves, the cold moon urges us to release old patterns, letting go of things that no longer serve our growth. Imagine you're carrying a heavy backpack filled with old, worn-out items, broken dreams, past hurts, outdated beliefs, and fears you've held on to for far too long. At first, the weight might seem manageable, but as you continue to walk through life, it becomes harder and harder to carry. Eventually, you begin to notice the strain it causes, the toll it takes on your shoulders and spirit. The cold moon is the moment when the universe gently taps you on the shoulder and says, "It's time to unload." Just as a traveler on a long journey must pause to rest and lighten their load, we too must give ourselves permission to release the burdens we've been carrying. These old patterns and attachments can be like anchors that keep us stuck, preventing us from moving forward. They may have served us at one point, but now they are weighing us down, holding us in a place of stagnation. Releasing old beliefs and fears is like cleaning out a closet that has been crammed with things we no longer wear. At one time, those clothes fit, maybe even comfortably, but over time, they become too tight, too old, or simply out of style. Holding on to them takes up space that could be used for something new, something that fits us better. Letting go of outdated beliefs can feel uncomfortable at first, as if we're letting go of a part of ourselves, but like clearing out the clutter in a room to make space for fresh energy. We must trust that what we release will make way for something more aligned with who we are becoming. The cold moon's energy calls us to examine what we've been clinging to, whether it's fears of failure, limiting thoughts about our capabilities, or attachments to people, places, or situations that no longer support us. These things are like old roots tangled in the earth, preventing new growth. Just as a gardener prunes away dead branches to encourage healthy blooms, we must prune away what holds us back, to allow ourselves to grow into the fullest expression of who we are meant to be. This release isn't about forgetting or denying the past. It's about giving ourselves permission to heal and move forward. It's as though the cold moon offers us the space to rest, to pause and reflect on our journey, and to let go of the things we no longer need. Just as we clean out a dusty attic to make room for new treasures, we must clean our emotional and spiritual spaces to welcome new growth. This clearing of old energies makes room for us to receive the gifts the universe has in store for us, new opportunities, new understandings, and new connections. Healing and clearing go hand in hand with this process of release. Think of the cold moon as a balm for our wounds, a gentle energy that encourages us to tend to what has been neglected within. It's like standing in front of a mirror after years of hiding from your reflection. The cold moon holds a mirror up to our souls, showing us the places where we need healing. But it does so with love and compassion. The coldness of the moon's light doesn't freeze us. It simply shines on the areas that need attention, so we can gently work through them. Healing doesn't always happen in an instant. It's a process, much like the thawing of ice. Slowly, the frozen emotions that we've held onto for so long begin to melt, and we start to feel the warmth of healing fill the spaces where there once was pain. The cold moon invites us to open up to that process, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to embrace the natural rhythm of growth. It's okay to feel the weight of the past, but it's equally important to recognize that it doesn't define us. Just as the seasons change, so too can our emotional and spiritual landscapes. As we let go of old attachments and begin to heal, we are invited to surrender the past. Surrender is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to fate. It's about releasing the need to control what is no longer ours, to hold on to. It's like trying to hold on to the wind with your bare hands. No matter how tightly you grip it, it slips through your fingers. The past is just that, the past. And while it has shaped us, it does not have to hold us captive. The cold moon's energy is like a gentle river flowing towards the sea, carrying with it everything that no longer serves us. Surrendering the past is a form of trust. Trust that what we are letting go of is making room for something better, something brighter. Like a tree shedding its leaves in the fall, we too must let go of what we no longer need to make room for new growth in the spring. This surrendering process doesn't mean we forget our past or erase the lessons we've learned. Instead, it means we allow ourselves to release the emotional baggage and attachments that keep us tethered to old versions of ourselves. Think of it as clearing a path in the forest. By removing the underbrush, we make way for the sunlight to reach the ground and nourish the soil. By releasing old wounds and attachments, we allow ourselves to be nourished by the fresh energy that is now available to us. Letting go is an act of faith, a declaration that we trust in the process of life and the divine timing of the universe. It's like stepping off the edge of a cliff, knowing that the universe will catch us, just as a bird trusts that its wings will carry it to new heights. The cold moon asks us to trust that by releasing what is no longer serving us, we are opening the door to something far more beautiful and aligned with our highest self. When we release, heal, and surrender, we create space for new opportunities, new ways of thinking, and new ways of being. This space is sacred, a fertile ground where new seeds of growth can take root. The cold moon's energy serves as both a clearing and a foundation for what is yet to come, encouraging us to let go of the past and step forward into a future full of possibility. In the end, the invitation to release, heal, and surrender is not a punishment, but a gift. It is an opportunity to free ourselves from the weights that have held us down, to open our hearts to the future, and to allow the cold moon to guide us through the darkness into the light of transformation. Just as the earth sheds its leaves to make way for new growth, we too must shed what no longer serves us, trusting that the process of letting go will lead us to a brighter, more expansive version of ourselves. Awakening to your higher self. The cold moon arrives like a beacon in the night sky, shining brightly and calling us to wake up. It's as if the universe is gently shaking us awake from a deep slumber, urging us to remember who we truly are. This is a time for awakening to the deeper truths that lie within us, to the parts of ourselves we may have forgotten, ignored, or left behind. The cold moon acts as a guide, helping us rediscover our soul's purpose, as if it's holding a lantern to show us the way, when everything around us feels dark and uncertain. Think of this awakening as the moment when a seed pushes through the soil after lying dormant in the earth. For so long, it has been hidden, but now, under the moon's light, it feels the call to emerge. This awakening isn't a sudden, dramatic event. Rather, it's a gradual realization, like the soft unfolding of petals on a flower. You begin to sense a stirring deep inside, an inner knowing that something is shifting. The cold moon encourages us to listen to that inner voice, to pay attention to the whispers of the soul that have been waiting patiently for us to hear. When we talk about rediscovering our soul's purpose, it's not about finding something new. It's about remembering. It's like dusting off an old treasure chest that has been buried under years of neglect. Inside, we find the pieces of ourselves that we once thought were lost. The cold moon's energy helps us tap into this ancient wisdom, guiding us back to the truth of who we are and what we are meant to do in this lifetime. It's a reminder that our soul's purpose isn't something we must chase or search for. It's already within us, waiting to be acknowledged. This process of rediscovery is like a journey through a foggy forest. At first, everything may feel unclear, but with each step, the path becomes more defined. The cold moon acts like a clearing in the mist, offering us a glimpse of the path ahead. It helps us realize that the answers we seek are not out there somewhere, but inside ourselves, buried under layers of fear, doubt, and distractions. The energy of the cold moon invites us to peel away these layers so we can find our way back to our true path. Alignment with our true path is another key aspect of the cold moon's influence. Much like a compass that points north, the cold moon helps us align with the direction we are meant to go. Have you ever felt lost, as though you were wandering without a clear sense of purpose? The cold moon brings clarity to this feeling of confusion, helping us reconnect with our divine mission. It's like being given a map after years of wandering in circles, suddenly knowing exactly where you are and where you need to go. The energy of the cold moon doesn't just point us in the right direction. It gives us the courage to walk that path, even if it feels unfamiliar. When we align with our true purpose, we may not always feel ready, but the cold moon reassures us that we are supported. Like a river that flows in a natural direction, our journey becomes easier when we allow ourselves to flow with the current rather than against it. This alignment isn't always easy. It may require us to step outside our comfort zones and embrace new opportunities, but it's a path that feels right deep in our bones. There's a sense of peace, and knowing that comes with alignment, as if we are finally walking the road we were always meant to travel. As we awaken to our higher self, we also tap into an inner strength that lies within us all. This strength is not something that comes from force or control, but from vulnerability. In fact, it is often in our moments of vulnerability that we discover just how strong we truly are. The cold moon helps us understand that our strength is not in resisting or protecting ourselves, but in being open to growth and transformation. It's like a tree that bends in the wind, not because it's weak, but because it knows that flexibility allows it to survive the storm. Inner strength isn't about putting up walls or pretending to be invincible. It's about acknowledging our fears, our doubts, and our wounds, and choosing to move forward anyway. It's like standing in front of a mirror and seeing all the parts of ourselves we've been hiding from, our insecurities, our past mistakes, our pain, and embracing them. The cold moon encourages us to be honest with ourselves, to look at our shadow and recognize that it too is a part of us. Only by accepting these parts can we step into our true power. This kind of strength is built on the foundation of self-awareness. When we allow ourselves to feel vulnerable, we become more attuned to our emotions and our needs. This deep connection to ourselves gives us the courage to make decisions that are in alignment with our true path, even if they are difficult. It's like a runner who feels the burn in their muscles, but keeps pushing forward, knowing that the finish line is worth it. Our inner strength is like this runner. It may not always feel easy, but the journey is leading us toward a greater version of ourselves. The cold moon also teaches us that strength is not about doing everything on our own. It's about being open to help, to guidance, and to the support of the universe. Just as a tree relies on the soil for nourishment, we too must recognize that we are part of a larger system. Our strength comes from our connection to others, to the world around us, and to the cosmic energy that flows through everything. The cold moon reminds us that we are not alone on this journey. We are part of something much bigger than ourselves. As we step into our higher selves, we begin to realize that vulnerability and strength are not opposites, but are two sides of the same coin. Our strength is found in our ability to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to feel, to grow, and to evolve. The cold moon supports us in this process, guiding us to embrace our full selves, our light and our dark, our strengths and our weaknesses. By accepting all parts of ourselves, we unlock the door to true spiritual growth. Just like a river carving its way through the earth, our path to awakening may not always be smooth, but it is purposeful. The cold moon's energy encourages us to trust that every twist and turn is leading us toward something greater. It calls us to awaken to our highest potential, to realign with our true purpose, and to embrace the inner strength that lies within us all. It's a journey of rediscovery, alignment, and growth, one that is guided by the gentle but powerful light of the cold moon. In the end, awakening to your higher self isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been, beneath all the layers of fear, doubt, and conditioning. The cold moon lights the way, helping you rediscover your soul's purpose, realign with your true path, and embrace the inner strength that has always been within you. And through this awakening, you step into a life that is more authentic, more aligned, and more deeply connected to the cosmic flow of the universe. Facing the darkness. Within the cold moon's energy isn't just about light and clarity. It also invites us to journey inward, into the darkness of our own being. It's easy to think of darkness as something to fear or avoid, but in the world of spiritual growth, it's often where our greatest lessons are found. Just as the night is necessary for the stars to shine, the darkness within us holds the space for deep reflection, healing, and transformation. When the cold moon shines its light, it doesn't just illuminate the good parts of ourselves, it brings our shadows into focus, asking us to confront them. Imagine for a moment walking into a dark room. At first your eyes struggle to adjust, and every corner seems filled with unknowns. But as your vision slowly adapts, you begin to see the shapes and forms that were once hidden in the shadows. The cold moon works in much the same way. It doesn't simply wash away the darkness. It helps us see what's been lurking in the hidden corners of our psyche, those parts of ourselves we've neglected, ignored, or feared. These are our shadows, our fears, insecurities, unhealed wounds, and parts of ourselves that we have yet to fully accept. Embracing the shadow doesn't mean allowing these darker aspects to control us or define us. It means looking at them with honesty and compassion. Just as a gardener pulls weeds from the soil not to destroy the plants, but to help them grow stronger, we must acknowledge our shadows in order to understand and heal them. These shadows are not enemies. They are parts of us that are seeking attention, understanding, and love. When we ignore them, they can fester and grow. But when we face them, we can learn from them and release their hold over us. Facing our inner darkness is like standing before a mirror that reflects not just our outward appearance, but the emotions and beliefs that reside deep within us. It requires vulnerability and courage to look into that mirror, to see all the parts of ourselves we've been avoiding. It's uncomfortable to face our fears, our flaws, and our pain, but it is only through this discomfort that we can begin to heal. The cold moon offers us the opportunity to stand before this mirror and truly see ourselves, not as perfect beings, but as complex, whole, and evolving individuals. It's a call to embrace all that we are, even the parts that feel heavy or difficult to accept. This confrontation with our shadows is where growth begins. It's like a muscle that grows stronger only when we challenge it, pushing it beyond its comfort zone. In the same way, we grow spiritually when we face discomfort and allow ourselves to move through it. The cold moon doesn't just bring up our fears and insecurities, it empowers us to confront them head-on. Just as a warrior becomes stronger with each battle fought, we grow stronger through each moment. We choose to face our fears rather than run from them. This growth isn't always immediate or painless, but it is always worth it. Confronting deep-rooted fears or limiting beliefs can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, peering into the unknown. Our natural instinct may be to retreat, to stay in the familiar, even if it no longer serves us. But the cold moon invites us to take that leap, to trust that the path forward, though uncertain, will lead us to greater understanding and freedom. It's like walking through a dark forest at night. The path may not be clearly visible, but with each step, you trust that you are heading toward a clearing, a place of light and safety. The discomfort of facing our fears is temporary, but the growth we experience as a result is lasting. It is in this discomfort that transformation occurs. Just as a caterpillar must struggle inside its cocoon before it can emerge as a butterfly, we too must experience discomfort in order to evolve. Our fears and limiting beliefs are like the tight walls of the cocoon, holding us in a place of stagnation. But once we summon the courage to confront them, we begin to break free. Each fear we face, each limiting belief we release, is like a crack in the cocoon, allowing us to stretch our wings and embrace the freedom of transformation. The cold moon provides us with the strength to break free from the old patterns that have kept us stuck, offering us the chance to step into the light of a new version of ourselves. The process of facing our shadows leads to empowerment. It is in this moment of reckoning, when we confront the parts of ourselves that we've been avoiding, that we find our true power. It's like discovering a hidden treasure chest buried deep within us. Inside are the tools, wisdom, and resilience we've always had, but may not have fully realized. When we allow ourselves to face our fears, we reclaim our power. We stop giving our energy to the things that once held us back, and instead, we become the creators of our own destiny. Empowerment through release is like clearing out a cluttered room. Once we let go of the old, the space becomes ready for new energy to flow. When we confront our shadows, we stop allowing them to control us. We stop letting fear dictate our decisions or letting our past mistakes hold us back. Each time we release an old belief or fear, we create more space for clarity and light to enter our lives. The cold moon provides us with the opportunity to surrender these limiting beliefs and fears, to let them go so that we can step forward with greater confidence and a deeper sense of purpose. In this process of release, we also find clarity. Just as the night sky becomes clearer when the clouds part, our inner vision becomes clearer when we face our shadows. By confronting our fears and limiting beliefs, we begin to understand why we've held on to them in the first place. We see the stories we've been telling ourselves, the ones that keep us small or stuck, and we can rewrite them. The cold moon helps us see the truth, not just about who we are, but about who we have the potential to become. It reveals the layers of conditioning that have shaped us, allowing us to strip them away and embrace our authentic selves. This journey of facing the darkness within is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. It's like tending to a garden. Sometimes we need to pull out the weeds. Other times, we simply need to nurture the plants so they can thrive. The cold moon calls us to regularly check in with ourselves, to face our shadows and see what they have to teach us. With each encounter, we become more adept at embracing discomfort and using it as a tool for growth. The more we face our shadows, the more empowered we become. Ultimately, the cold moon teaches us that darkness is not something to fear or avoid. It is a natural part of the cycle of life, just as night is a natural part of day. In facing our shadows, we discover the strength, wisdom, and clarity that reside within us all. The discomfort that comes with this journey is not a sign of weakness, but a catalyst for transformation. The cold moon encourages us to embrace this journey, to face our fears and limiting beliefs, and to trust that on the other side of the darkness, we will find the light of our true power. Navigating the shift with intention. Navigating the shift brought by the cold moon is like embarking on a voyage where the moon's energy serves as both the compass and the map, guiding us through a transformative journey. The cold moon doesn't simply mark the end of one cycle, but it creates the space for us to reset, realign, and renew our inner direction. During this time, we can harness its power in practical ways, such as through rituals, meditation, and self-reflection, allowing us to connect more deeply with our true selves and set our course for the next phase of our spiritual growth. Harnessing the cold moon's power is not about waiting passively for change to come. Just as a sailor must adjust their sails and steer their ship to navigate the winds, we must take active steps to align ourselves with the energy of the cold moon. One of the most effective ways to do this is through ritual. Rituals can be simple or complex, but they all serve the same purpose: to create intentional space for transformation. Imagine lighting a candle in a dark room. It doesn't just illuminate the space, but it creates a focal point, allowing you to direct your energy and attention where it is most needed. Rituals are like this candle. They help us focus, release the old, and invite in the new. A powerful ritual under the cold moon could involve writing down the things you wish to release. Just as a gardener prunes dead branches from a tree, we must trim away the parts of ourselves that no longer serve us. Write down any limiting beliefs, fears, or attachments you are ready to let go of, then burn the paper as an act of release. Watching the smoke rise can symbolize the lifting of these burdens from your life, allowing you to create space for the new growth that is waiting to come in. Another way to harness the cold moon's energy is through meditation. Think of meditation as a quiet, calm pool of water. In this stillness, we can see the reflection of our true selves. Under the cold moon, meditation can become a mirror to help us examine our thoughts and emotions, allowing us to understand where we are holding on to old patterns or fears. Sitting quietly, breathe in the moon's energy and imagine it washing over you like gentle waves. Allow yourself to sink deeper into this space where your inner truth can rise to the surface. This peaceful connection with the cold moon helps us clear our minds and hearts, opening us to the insights and guidance that lie within. Self-reflection is another vital practice during this time. Think of it as taking a step back to look at a map before continuing on your journey. Self-reflection allows us to pause and take stock of where we've been and where we want to go. Under the cold moon's light, this reflection is particularly powerful. It's like standing at the edge of a river and looking at the water flow by, noticing the patterns and currents that have shaped our journey so far. Use this time to ask yourself the deeper questions. What is no longer serving me? Where do I want to grow? What have I learned from my challenges? And how can I carry that wisdom forward? The cold moon provides us with the space to be honest with ourselves, to take a good hard look at where we've been and where we are heading. Once we've connected with the cold moon's energy through ritual, meditation, and reflection, we can begin setting intentions for the future. Setting intentions is like planting seeds in a garden. The seeds we plant today are the experiences we will harvest in the future. It's essential to approach intention setting with clarity and focus. Just as a gardener doesn't plant a seed without knowing what it is, we should be clear on what we want to bring into our lives. But just as important is the nurturing aspect. When you plant a seed, you care for it with the right conditions so it can grow into something strong and vibrant. Setting intentions under the cold moon involves not only defining what we want, but also committing to the actions, mindset, and energy needed to bring these desires into fruition. Take some time to reflect on what you truly want in your life. Consider your spiritual goals. Do you want to deepen your connection to the universe? Perhaps you're seeking clarity on your life's purpose or a renewed sense of inner peace. Write down your intentions with as much detail and emotion as you can, and then visualize them coming to life. Imagine yourself already living the life you've set out to create, feeling the emotions that will come with it. The cold moon's energy is like fertile soil, ready to nurture the seeds of your intentions. So approach this time with gratitude and hope. While we take steps to set intentions, it's also important to trust the process and allow ourselves to be guided from within. This is where the magic of the cold moon truly shines, helping us connect to the wisdom that lies in our hearts and intuition. Imagine yourself as a ship, sailing on the open ocean. The wind might be unpredictable, but you can rely on your inner compass to keep you heading in the right direction. The cold moon amplifies our intuitive abilities, allowing us to listen to the quiet, inner voice that often gets drowned out by the noise of everyday life. This is the voice of our higher self, our soul's guidance, and the wisdom of the universe. During this phase, trust that the insights you receive are not random, but are messages from your deeper self, offering guidance and clarity. It may come in the form of a sudden idea, a dream, or a gut feeling that leads you to make a decision. Just as a tree bends toward the sunlight, we too must learn to follow the light of our inner wisdom. The cold moon helps us clear away the mental clutter and gives us the clarity we need to make wise, aligned choices. As we work with the energy of the cold moon, it's also important to be patient. Just as a seed takes time to sprout and grow, so too do our intentions. The cold moon is a time of sowing, but it is also a time of trusting that the universe will provide what we need at the right moment. It asks us to release the need for control and allow the process to unfold naturally. Trust in the cycles of life, knowing that the seeds you plant today will grow in their own time and the harvest will come when it's meant to. Navigating the shift with intention is a profound act of faith and connection. The cold moon offers us the opportunity to reset our spiritual goals, release the old, and embrace the new. It encourages us to reflect, plan, and trust in the guidance that arises from within. By harnessing the power of the cold moon through ritual, meditation, and reflection, we align ourselves with the universe's flow, creating a clear path for our intentions to manifest. The journey ahead may not always be easy, but with the cold moon's light guiding us, we can navigate this shift with confidence, clarity, and purpose. The promise of renewal and rebirth. The cold moon, like a quiet sentinel in the night sky, brings with it a powerful promise, one of renewal and rebirth. Much like the changing of the seasons, where the leaves fall to make way for new growth, the cold moon ushers in a cycle of transformation. It illuminates the deep, often hidden truths within us, helping us see that endings are not to be feared, but embraced as the fertile ground from which new beginnings sprout. As we move through this phase, we are invited to reflect on how the cycles of life are not just about what we lose, but about the potential we gain by shedding what no longer serves us. Understanding the cycle of rebirth is akin to the way the earth, in its eternal wisdom, goes through cycles of birth, death, and renewal. Imagine a tree in the autumn. Its leaves fall, seemingly signaling the end of something. Yet beneath the surface, the roots are still active, preparing for the rebirth that spring promises. Just like this tree, our own cycles of growth often involve moments of letting go, of old habits, beliefs, and ways of being, so that we can prepare ourselves for what is to come. The cold moon is a reminder that endings are simply the precursor to new opportunities. It invites us to release with faith, knowing that the seeds of new beginnings are already planted, ready to sprout when the time is right. When the cold moon casts its pale light, it calls us to reflect on what is no longer necessary in our lives. This could be a relationship, a job, a habit, or even an old way of thinking that has outlived its usefulness. Letting go of these things can feel uncomfortable, even painful, much like clearing out a cluttered room in preparation for a fresh start. The space created by this clearing allows us to make room for new ideas, relationships, and experiences. Just as an artist must first clean their canvas before beginning a new painting, we must first clear away the old to welcome in the new. The process of rebirth through the cold moon is also an invitation to embrace spiritual evolution. Spiritual growth, like the slow yet steady growth of a plant, happens gradually over time. It is not always something we can see day by day, but when we look back, we can often see how far we've come. The cold moon's energy encourages us to step out of our comfort zones and embrace higher levels of consciousness. Just as a seed must break through the soil to reach the light, we too must sometimes break through the boundaries of our current understanding to reach a higher level of awareness. The cold moon acts like a cosmic teacher, nudging us to evolve spiritually and become more aligned with our true purpose. Spiritual evolution is not about perfection, but about progress, about becoming more attuned to our own inner wisdom and the wisdom of the universe. It's like tuning a musical instrument. At first, the strings may be off-pitch, but with time and patience, we can learn to adjust them until they resonate with the harmonious frequency of our true selves. During the cold moon, we are invited to tune ourselves to this higher frequency, releasing old fears and limitations and allowing the divine guidance within us to take the lead. When we embrace the cold moon's invitation for spiritual evolution, we open ourselves to a broader perspective. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a vast forest, and for the first time, you can see beyond the trees. Your view expands, and you begin to understand that there is more to the world than what you've known. This is the transformation the cold moon brings, a shift from a limited perspective to one of greater clarity and insight. As we embrace this evolution, we begin to see life with fresh eyes, understanding that we are not just individuals, but part of a greater, interconnected web of existence. The cold moon calls us to trust in this process and to be open to the unexpected gifts it offers. At the heart of the cold moon's energy is an invitation to embrace the new. It is a time of transformation, and transformation requires us to remain open and flexible. Imagine a river that flows freely, undisturbed by obstacles in its path. The cold moon calls us to be like this river, fluid, adaptable, and willing to flow with the changes that come. The future may not always look like what we expect, but the cold moon urges us to remain open to the possibilities ahead. Just as a butterfly must embrace the unknown journey of its flight after emerging from the cocoon, we too must spread our wings and trust in the unknown. Embracing the new isn't always easy. Change can be daunting, and it often requires us to step out of our comfort zones. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down into the vast unknown. But just as a bird must trust its wings before taking flight, we must trust that the changes we face will lead us to growth, wisdom, and new experiences. The cold moon gives us the courage to leap into this transformation, reminding us that the old must be shed in order for something new and better to take its place. In this process, the cold moon teaches us the importance of releasing control. Like a leaf floating on a stream, we cannot always dictate where the current will take us, but we can trust that the flow is leading us exactly where we need to go. The more we try to hold on to the past, the more we resist the natural flow of life. By letting go of rigid expectations and embracing the unknown, we allow ourselves to be guided by a force greater than ourselves, one that will always steer us toward what is best for our soul's journey. The promise of renewal and rebirth also carries with it a message of hope. Even in the darkest, coldest nights, there is the certainty that dawn will come. The cold moon represents this very cycle of light and darkness, where endings lead to new beginnings, and where each night holds the promise of a new day. It encourages us to look beyond the challenges and to trust that the transformations we are undergoing will lead us to something more beautiful, more aligned with our true purpose. Just as the caterpillar must surrender to the darkness of the cocoon in order to emerge as a butterfly, we too must surrender to the changes that the cold moon brings, trusting that we are being reborn into something greater than we can yet imagine. As we embrace the cold moon's invitation to renewal, we are called to let go of the old and welcome the new with open arms. This is a time of spiritual evolution, where we are invited to expand our consciousness, trust in the guidance of the universe, and remain open to the transformations ahead. Just as the Earth goes through cycles of death and rebirth, so do we. The cold moon teaches us that every ending is simply a beginning in disguise, and if we trust the process, we can step into the new with courage, hope, and excitement. This phase, while challenging, holds the potential for profound growth and the promise of a renewed, more aligned version of ourselves.